Before I get into your context, common sense explains morality to anybody who is sensible. Common sense tells us, who are sensible, that hurting other people is wrong. It also tells us that stealing and dishonesty is wrong, with the exception of certain circumstances, because those can cause problems. Now for your context. What is God's standard for morality? As for God himself, he harshly punished Adam and Eve for disobeying him, instead of giving them a second chance, even when they didn't disobey God to rebel, but because they were tempted. God took it an extreme and psychotic step further by holding every born person responsible for their guilt. How is that moral? God also punishes eternally with torture for not conforming to his way and will. How is that moral? He also condemns homosexuality only because it can't reproduce. How is that moral? How are you Christians moral for taking God's side? None of you Christians ever consider that God is far worse than us with his sadistic ways. Why does God even require his creation to have a moral code or system if he's all-powerful? As for the culture or era, the world will always have many who are mentally ill, even outright psychotic, whose only goal in life is to inflict harm onto others. This isn't evil, it's only psychosis. Aside from taking God's side because you believe in God's concept of morality, you've sold your own kind out for his reward of heaven. How is that moral? How is the universe's structure that of intelligence? If the universe is a product of chance and necessity, it's fucking depressing. How is the universe rationally structured? Christians would often argue that the sun is positioned perfectly, but why did God create this planet to need that sun? Also, why is the universe necessary if we're God's focus? While procreating and surviving is the level of life many are stuck in because the economy is shit, and economic trial and error is nobody's core political focus, this straw man is an insult, insinuating that the atheist mindset is primitive. As an atheist myself, I want scientific and technological advancement, along with social progress. How about the Christian mindset, to automatically serve and obey this God, out of fear of hell? How is that any better than survival and procreation? Now for your context. Why do you want to be special? And how does being an asshole by accepting a psycho's sacrifice, causing you to ask these stupid questions, make you special? Christianity is about serving God in this life, to achieve an eternity with him in heaven, not to accomplish anything in this world. Who are you to criticize the secular concept of purpose, which is to make life better for ourselves and for every next generation? Reverting to morality, how is neglecting this world a moral mindset? What atheist has ever said that a fetus's life is less valuable than a mother's? You're upset about abortion, pro-life calling it murder, yet you have no problem with a God who condemns his own creation to never-ending punishment just because they didn't accept his son and didn't decide to do things God's way. God needing hell to torture people in because God's way is the only right way. Maybe God should have just stuck with creating from dirt and ribs, huh? Oh, can't do that. They'll get tempted to disobey God. We all know how justly, mercifully, and lovingly easy God gets triggered, don't we? That tree was obviously more important to God than Adam and Eve were, huh? Yeah, a human is only a human to you, if he believes in the Bible, right? Otherwise, God is more valuable to you, the being who caused all of this fucking nonsense, which is why you're asking us such asshole questions. As for this Bible reference, the context is a prophet, not everybody. This verse is saying the Lord knew the prophet, specifically. This has nothing to do with pro-life or abortion. Anyway, I can also play this game. Refer to Numbers 511-31, the unfaithful woman test. Is this not an act of abortion? Why are atheists obligated to explain DNA ordering? Why not ask a scientist? What does the Bible say about DNA? Why do you assert God created DNA, let alone ordering it? Even if God did so, DNA is the best God could come up with? Birth defects are common, and there are countless possible birth defects. God created Adam and Eve, but they disobeyed God. Jesus Christ was born, but was brutally beaten and then crucified, the crucifixion being the purpose of his existence, specifically born by a woman, a virgin. So, God can't seem to get anything right. Well, the gore of Jesus' existence was deliberate on God's part, which says it all about this morbid religion. So why bother asking about DNA? We can't. The Big Bang Theory is a scientific one. We simply don't believe a God exists, let alone being the force behind the Big Bang. Are you obligated to accept the Big Bang? No? Then why are you bothered by this theory? This is the most bizarre question I've ever heard or read. We don't know what joys are in heaven. We only know that you people want to laugh at us suffer forever in hell, because we didn't conform to your belief. My questions are 1A. Why do you agree that requirements are necessary to get into heaven? 1B. Why do you not question why an all-powerful creator wants his creation to jump through his divine hoops to get into heaven? 2. If it's wicked, unnatural, evil, or whatever, here on earth, whether it's harmful to others or not, premarital sex, for example, why would God allow it in heaven, and why do you agree that such pleasures are bad here on earth? 3. What joys would exist in heaven if these wicked and sinful pleasures are not allowed there? I don't have one. Even if Jesus did exist, his miracles would defy his Father's omnipotence because God can't be omnipotent, because turning water into wine wouldn't be a miraculous act if God is so. His sacrifice would be irresponsible because he's taking the responsibility of other people's criminal behaviors, or whatever those people did that upset God. The sacrifice was illegitimate if Jesus resurrected. You disagree? Okay. How can a miracle happen if God's power is without limits? How is taking the responsibility for another person's actions a responsible act? What did Jesus sacrifice if he resurrected? Why do you buy into Jesus Christ's existence?